Powerful explosions have rocked one of only two working oil refineries in Australia. Firefighters in the state of Victoria said flames of up to 60 metres broke out on Wednesday night and was finally brought under control on Thursday. The Energy Minister says the blaze will have a major impact on petrol production. Australia had already raised concerns about dwindling fuel supplies because of disruptions to oil exports via the Strait of Hormuz. Now, separately, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia's secured an additional supply of 100 million litres of diesel from Brunei and South Korea to boost the country's precarious reserves amid the Iran war.
With regard to fuel as well, I can announce that my government has secured an additional 100 million litres of diesel from two shipments, one from Brunei, where I was yesterday, and one from South Korea. This is the first of many expected shipments secured under the government's new strategic reserve powers with the support of Export Finance Australia.
Now, Kevin Morrison is an energy finance analyst at the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis. He joins us live from Sydney. Australia is already being squeezed. The Prime Minister there, you heard, negotiating oil from other countries to try and make up the shortfall. And now you've got a refinery fire. So is this a serious blow to the economy?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not saying so much to the economy, but certainly to fuel suppliers. As you said, it's one of two refineries, and it's actually the biggest one that we have. Bearing in mind that particularly the Asia Pacific is facing a fuel security issue. Australia doesn't really. We're very dependent on importing oil, and also we don't have too many stockpiles, so we don't really have two alternatives. So for this key area of supply to be knocked out for an unknown period of time is quite an issue.
Now, Australia is relatively small when it comes to population, but it's massive when it comes to land size. And apparently, what I'm hearing is jet fuel is going to be a huge problem because this refinery had a specific proponent that was refining jet fuel. So this is going to have an impact on getting groceries and food and cargo around the country.
Well, yes and no, because it seems like the fire actually took place in the part of the plant that makes petrol, and that's the biggest single component of this plant. So it mainly makes petrol, and it does also make diesel and jet fuel. And so from the understanding so far, what the company said is that operates this, and that's a company called Viva Energy. They said it hasn't impacted the jet fuel or the diesel operations, but nevertheless, Australia doesn't produce that much of its own diesel. It is very reliant, of its own jet fuel. It's very reliant on both the imports of jet fuel and diesel.
Now, Kevin, when it comes to, who's at fault here, I mean, fires do happen, or refineries, dealing with flammable products. But is there any kind of hint of negligence here, particularly on part of the government or for not keeping it up?
These plants they're very old. I mean, this plant is first started in 1954, so it's about 70 years old. And recently, because of the fuel crisis, it's been going at maximum capacity. So I suppose, like any old machine, if you operate at maximum capacity, there might be a few issues that could occur. And yeah, you're right. Look, we're dealing with a plant that's got a lot of flammable liquids in it, so fires can spread very, very quickly and cause a lot of damage very quickly too. So that's why it is a concern, because what it means, Australia would have to start importing more oil or more finished product, i.e. more petrol, from the Asia Pacific, which is already constrained by supply. So it can only do one thing, and push up prices. And I think it's also could be a bit of a tipping point where the government will now have to start looking at raising the level at which it has to manage this. It's got 4 levels. We're currently at level 2, but this could start thinking going in terms of looking at level 3, where we have to start looking at cutting back our demand, because we're already facing an even greater constraint on supply.
Kevin Morrison, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Thank you.